Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Manny B Investing in BI, and we're going to take a look at a tweet here that is in response to MinSwap. Hey, MinSwap Dex, care to explain this? Seems like someone is running orders and pocketing the profits. MinSwap executes my exact order at the exact same time, except yours goes through for cheaper, and then you immediately sell and pocket the 171 ADA my order generated. And he has some screenshots here. Let's take a look. Look at the timestamp. Look at the address. Goes to sell. There's a buy. And then there's another buy for cheap. For cheaper. And so those are the same addresses, and then that's him. So everybody's making out except for this guy. This guy's got the buy for the most money, and it's like fractions of a penny. But still, this is bad. There's profit there. Between that price and that price, there's profit. So depending on how much you're spending, there could be some drama there. So let's take a look. Doing the same to someone else on Indy. So this is the cool thing about blockchain is you can see all the transaction. Everything is face up. So you can look at this stuff. And when you see weird things like this, you can call it out. So this is what's done with the Indy token and then MinSwaps. We are aware and investigating possible front running on MinSwap DEX and other DEXs. We are working on a fix to prevent it from happening again. All right, cool. Let's take a look at MinSwap. Let's take a look at the price right now. So MinSwap is the premier DEX on the Cardano blockchain. It's just what it is. They've got the most TVL. They've got the most positive marketing. They've got the most positive sentiment on the Twitter. So there it is. Good price, in my opinion, or if you're going to be loading up during the bear. What is front running? This is from CoinMarketCap. Front running. Front running is when you place a transaction in a queue when you have knowledge of a future transaction. So how in the world would someone have that information? Well, if you're a node operator, a stake pool operator, something like that. You're running hardware, you're monitoring the network. So if you're a stake pool operator, then you know all of the transactions that are happening before they post. You can create a bot using that information to front run trades. Front running is the act of placing a transaction in a queue with the knowledge of a future transaction. Front running on a blockchain platform normally happens when a miner, so for Bitcoin, Ethereum, before POS, if you're a miner, you would be able to see these transactions on your mining rig, and you'd be able to front run if you were a person who is of low ethical standard. You could front run transactions that are coming through your miner. Who has access to information on pending transactions? So miners, stake pool operators, node operators. These things have different names depending on the blockchain that you're on, but it's all the same. A person who has an unfair advantage over everyone else because they have hardware that the blockchain is running on. So who has access to information on pending transactions? Places an order that would earn him a profit or her based on pending trade. For instance, on the Ethereum blockchain, front running can occur when bots are able to quote a higher gas price than a pending trade, thus hastening its processing. So with Ethereum, you have transaction time. So you have like slow, medium, fast. So depending on how fast the transaction goes through, you pay a different price. And if your transaction takes a longer period of time, it's queued up. That makes it even easier for a front runner to front run you. So say, for instance, you were going to sell a token, sell some tokens or whatever, and you go to put that transaction in, a person in this split second, these moments, these minutes, these seconds, that has the ability to see the transactions queued up can look at those transactions and jump in and take advantage of the fact that they can move faster than everyone else. It's called front running. Other parties capable of front running are full node operators, which are parties tasked with keeping an eye on network activity, hence having knowledge of unconfirmed transactions. Centralized exchanges can also conduct front running. Of course they can. It's a centralized exchange. They control the traffic. They can front run, but a centralized exchange front running their own customers is a net negative. It hurts the platform. If you're on a DEX, it's kind of hard. You really need to have somebody like this guy who's really paying attention and looking to be able to bust these people. And the disadvantage is if you get caught and it turns out that you're a stake pool operator or a node operator that you can see, you can get in trouble. You can get that person in trouble, especially on Cardano. If you have a stake pool, typically it's a business. So if you're running a stake pool and then you're being shady and front running dexes, that gets exposed. People are not going to delegate to your stake pool. You're going to pretty much just ruin your persona on the blockchain. So that's the disadvantage. There's advantage of profits, but at what cost? Are those profits worth more than your staking operation, your mining operation? A lot of times, yes. That's why people do it, at least to them. Me personally, I don't think it's worth it. I'd rather just be legitimate. If I had a stake pool and I was doing good business, I'd rather just do that good business and keep my good name. The profits, especially, this type of stuff, it's really shady. It's really grimy. It's desperate, if you asked me. So, MinSwap doing their thing. And I think they actually, they did it's called a sandwich attack. I think our friend at AXO or Mao kind of called that out. But it looks like we've got So this is we're going to talk about the actual incident. We're not going to talk in generals now, generality. The sandwich attack patch. The MinSwap team was alerted to a sandwich attack being perpetrated by a malicious actor on the DEX. The attack exploited the ordering process of the batching used by the DEX. The appropriate safeguards have been put in place to refrain this attack from being perpetrated. We explain the attack and the prevention measures in full detail below. As was described in our Liminar article, MinSwap scaling solutions uses off-chain batching to execute several orders in the same transaction. Now the transactions include in a certain batch are done so in order which is determined through the order processing algorithm. It is very important to highlight that the surface of the attack was precisely this ordering process algorithm used for batching, not a group of insiders or a MinSwap team which conducts the batching of UTXOs. Okay. So the surface for the attack was precisely this ordering process. Okay, so somebody got the order process algorithm and were able to reverse engineer it, whatever. And this kind of goes back to this video that we did a very long time ago when we talked about Sunday swaps, the way that they were going to handle the UTXOs and the swaps and how other DEXs were going to also attack this issue. So this is not like this stuff wasn't talked about in the early days of Cardano smart contracts. Current analysis indicates the attack started on the 21st of November and spanned 880 trades for a total profit of around 11,000 ADA. That's not bad. Sandwich attack explanation. When ordering transactions on the MinSwap DEX, the batcher software will select orders in a first-in, first-out fashion. The batchers are run by trusted entities, currently only MinSwap Labs. To ensure correct ordering of the transactions, however, within the same batch, the orders were executed by the default ordering of ledger inputs. This means that prior to the attack, the off-chain ordering process algorithm ordered transactions by their transaction hash in ascending order. That don't sound good. This is the surface that was used to perpetrate the sandwich attack. Okay, so if the orders were, if the algorithm placed the transaction in order by their hash, then I can understand how somebody was able to do that. Since transactions are ordered by transaction hash, a front runner could create a transaction to buy or sell an asset at a price that takes advantage of an existing transaction by simply composing a transaction with a smaller transaction hash. For example, if a user created a transaction to buy an asset with a 1% slippage tolerance, a front runner could create a transaction to buy the same amount just prior, causing the original user to lose their 1% tolerance. Interesting. Sandwich attack example. To understand the attack better, let's consider an example. Suppose there are 6 pending transactions on the DEX for a specific pair, and a user decides to spend 100,000 ADA on buying an asset with a 2% slippage tolerance. The user creates a transaction, and the transaction hash starts with 34DF. As soon as a user enters their transaction, a front runner can compose their own transaction to buy exactly the amount that would cause the original user to lose their 2% slippage tolerance, hence why it's called a sandwich attack. The attacker would simply have to monitor Cardano's memory pool, which is public information. Again, blockchains are public, and provide that they're connected to enough relays on the blockchain, they can see most of the transactions before they get on chain. Now, the only thing the front runner needs to do is create a transaction with a smaller hash, which can be easily achieved by looping over different transaction parameters and choosing the one that gives the best transaction hash. In this case, as close to 0, so this transaction is picked up first by the algorithm. As such, both the front runner's transaction hash 00000, and the transaction from user 34DF would be included in the same block. When they are about to get batched, the first transaction gets executed will be the one with the smallest transaction hash. The front runner's transaction, once the swap is complete, the front runner simply has to sell the assets back, earning a profit at the expense of the user. So what they see is they see a person, they see an order come in to sell 100 thingamajigs for a price. They go, oh snap, I want to buy it, right? Because they see another transaction that's buying them. So there's selling and buying going on in these DEXs. You see somebody buying something, you see somebody selling something. They look at the list, they see a person selling 1,000 thingamabobbers, and they see another transaction where somebody's buying them. They see the slippage tolerances, they see all this good stuff. So they go, okay, I can jump in there and sandwich. Boom. They get in the middle, buy for cheaper, they sell for higher to a transaction that they already see on the blockchain. So it happens, boom, like that. And they walk away with profit. Solutions and lessons learned. It is important to highlight that it is the default settings in Cardano blockchain that transactions inputs are reordered based on transaction hash. As such, the decision to order transactions based on transaction hash in the batching algorithm was purely done so for optimization purposes. After fully investigating the attack pattern and understanding how the malicious actor was able to perform a sandwich attack, the solution was simple. We just had to add in the off-chain batching algorithm the logic that the lexicographic order of orders within the same batch has to be the same as the chronicle order of orders. This means it's no longer the transaction ID that orders transactions. Okay, so they move everything off chain, do their thing, then post it back on chain. So you can't front run it then. As indicated, current analysis indicates the attack started on the 21st of the November and spanned 880 trades for a total profit of around 11,000 ADA. We have reached out to other DEXs in the ecosystem to ensure they are not vulnerable to the same attack. We would like to thank the community members who alerted us to this issue. We truly appreciate having such an active and careful community that alerted us. in the rest of the community of the attack that was being perpetrated. So yeah, this is just part of the game, right? Everybody can see everything. So if you're smart, you can see, they could see that the way that the transactions were being ordered was in a row. So you can look at the transaction hash and you can see that order is going to go first. That one's going to go next. That one's going to go next. That one's going to go next. You could jump the line if you could get a smaller transaction number close to 0 as possible. Yours will go first. So you'll be able to jump the line, and you can use the information of the people that you jumped in order to make trades that takes advantage of their trades. So very, very nerdy stuff, but I felt like it was something that we should document and go over and just look at what was going on. It was just, it wasn't an insider. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't a stake pool operator necessarily, even though they typically have an advantage and have the ability to see these transactions. It looks like they were able to see the transaction when they went off chain, and they were able to line up and sandwich. So they got it fixed. That's what matters. And we learned something together, because I didn't really understand. I understood, attacks, but I didn't understand the front running thing, how you were able to front run. So that was a good explanation. I like it. Make sure you go ahead and hit that like, hit the share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.